Yeah. Now, when you were representing insurance companies, there are times that you were trying to watch on behalf of the insurance companies, you said, for fraud and misuse. But there are times that you were very specifically looking for technicalities, and that small thing. Give us an example of a story or so of where it was just something really small, but it made all the difference.
Well, I'll tell you plainly, the language of the policy governs the claim. So, for example, if you have a policy which says, and I'll talk about time limitations a little later, but if you have a policy that says you must either sue us or resolve this claim within 1 year from the date of loss, when it comes to 1 year and 1 day, you're too late. I talk about this with my daughters sometimes when they're doing their homework. I say, in my business, you can't be late. And so I'm fanatical about you must turn this on time, etc., because there is no space for that in the law.
People are used to that in the society. They grow up with, this is 1 day late. Oh, okay. We'll let it go.
Oh,
by.
I get that all the time at home. Oh, well, it's only 5 points. I'll lose 5 points.
Right. The fact of the matter is if I'm 1 day past the statute of limitations on any type of claim, I can't think of but very, very rare circumstances where I'll be allowed to do anything. So my job, one of my jobs, was to make sure that they had satisfied their obligations. There are things called sworn proofs of loss. There's document requests that the insurance companies would make in suspicious claims, and if they didn't cooperate then, we could deny a claim for failure to cooperate. Imagine if you had a fire loss and I made a request to you for every credit card bill or every utility bill you had, every bank account statement, every checking statement you had, and I said, under the insurance policy, I have a right to those documents, and you said, well, that's an invasion of privacy. I'm not going to give them.
Or how about they all just burned up in the fire?
Well, then essentially we'd ask them to go out to the third parties and track those down. But we had the ability to deny claims for failure to respond to those types of requests.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. You have kind of an offshoot, Tony, a situation with someone who doesn't want to respond.
Week. Yeah. I want to ask you this question, Rob. We had a dryer fire in a utility room, and no one was hurt. There was not a lot of smoke damage. The fire department was able to put it out, I think, with an extinguisher rather than water. So we sent pictures to the owner and asked her to please contact her insurance company immediately or give us the name and phone number of the insurance company. And she refused to do it. She argued with us. She did finally talk to her agent, and I don't know what she told her agent, but she came back with this advice. Well, my agent says it's probably, the cost is not going to be beyond the $1,000 deductible, so there's no point in sending out an adjuster to look at it. You guys need to do your job and get a contractor in there and figure out what needs to be done. I argued with her a while and then gave up.
Well, there's a couple of flashpoints or landmines in what you just said. Number one, insurance agents don't make coverage decisions. Insurance agents sell insurance. And I've been involved in actual lawsuits where where my clients have called up the insurance agent before loss and said, what if something like this happens? Will it be covered? And the insurance agents will say, oh, sure, that's covered. And then there'll be a loss like that because it seemed like it was on the horizon. And then it will, the insurer who is the real seller of insurance will say, well, no, that's not covered at all. And those insurance agents will then have to make claims on their errors and omissions carrier for stating that there was coverage. So if someone in that position calls me, the first thing I'm going to do is warn them. And that is this. When I was in insurance defense on first-party claims, if you did not bring your claim in on time, that is one of the bases for denial. So if you call 7 months later, well, it turns out that there's smoke damage up in the attic. We didn't realize that the fire got into the wall, even though they were able to put it out, and we have $40,000 worth of smoke damage in the wall or in the attic. Well, I'm going to say as an insurer, or me, it depends on the insurer, of course, or their position and their aggressiveness. Well, you did not bring this claim at the time of the loss, so we cannot investigate it the way we'd like to investigate it to see if there's a third party who might be liable for this loss. And as such, that may be, depending on the language of the policy, a separate basis for denial. Well, the proper steps, not speaking as an attorney for that person, I don't represent that person, but the proper steps is always to bring in your own contractor. the proper steps are also to make the claim. You can decide later if you want them to pay or not. If you're concerned about insurance premiums and you say to yourself, I don't want them. This is such a small claim. It's a $1,300 claim. We have a $1,000 deductible. I don't want this claim. The fact that you go through the adjustment process will protect your rights, and you can decide later if you decide that you don't want them to pay for fear of increased premiums.
So just calling them and saying, I need an adjuster to look at the situation, is that filing the claim? And is there danger of increasing your premium?
Well, that can increase, or that will open a claim, and it can, I suspect, increase your premiums, because what they're going to do is they're going to evaluate you as a risk.
Okay.
So if they see you as a risk of having future fire losses, etc., they may increase your premiums.
Okay.
But the greater risk, I mean, if you weigh, let's say you have $40,000 worth of smoke damage in your attic, and you weigh that against an increase of $180 a year in insurance premiums in an increase, it'll take many years to make up that increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I recall a time. Oh, this is maybe about a decade ago with New Concepts. We had an insurance claim, and we were the policy paid out on that. Later, we found out that it wasn't our fault; it was someone else's. We were able to get the money back. We were able to get it back to the insurance company.
You reimburse them.
Yeah, because you can't profit from an insurance claim. We were already paid, so we paid it back to the insurance company. I don't think we saw any kind of nick in our.
There's a concept in insurance law called subrogation, and I did that when I was in insurance defense. For example, I had a case where a home burnt down as a result of, or really burnt badly. It didn't burn to the ground, but as a result of an electronic device that it was actually a dehumidifier, not an electronic device, that had a bad cable and caused a fire in the house. Now, the damage to the house was big enough that the homeowners didn't resist reporting it as a claim at all. But the fact is that I was then able to bring a claim against the manufacturer because our insurer paid the homeowners the $80,000 or $100,000 it was back then, and then I was able to bring this claim against the manufacturer of that dehumidifier, and they paid the insurer back.
Gotcha.
And in that circumstance called subrogation, the homeowner has settled up, the homeowner has their home fixed, and the homeowner's insurer is covered. But if you take it on a smaller scale and you don't report that claim to the insurer, and then later that you ask the insurer to pay, the insurer may say, well, we may have wanted to evaluate that claim, that loss, to see if it was caused by a third party who we could subrogate against.
Okay.
And much harder to do when months have passed.
Impossible.
So our first step should be make sure everything's secure and everything's safe, then get a contractor out to assess the cost of the repairs.
Yeah, I
then
think
go to the insurance company if it's beyond the deductible.
if you can't find a contractor to do a free bid for you, then something's gone.
Something's not right in our society.
There was a period of time when the construction industry was really booming 7 years ago, where it was difficult.
That's
because
right.
they were working so hard and they were so busy. If you call them up for a $5,000 job, they'd say, "I call someone else."
Yeah.
But today, it's a vastly different situation. So if you ask a contractor to come out and bid it, you have good information. You say to yourself, "Okay, I know how bad this loss is. I'm not just speculating it. I'm not relying on an insurance agent who sells insurance. I'm relying on a professional telling me what it would cost to fix it." And that's at least one good piece of information you can evaluate when deciding whether to make a claim.
Okay.
So good info number one. Here's bottom line. Don't be afraid to put in what might be a potential claim with your insurance company.
Don't be afraid to get a bid also, or more importantly, don't be afraid to consult outside professionals like contractors to tell you really what you're looking at here. If you're looking at an $800 claim and you have a $1,000 deductible, don't make a claim.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break. Today on the show, we're talking about insurance and settling insurance claims. When we come back, we're going to talk about this idea or notion that do you have to accept what the insurance company gives you as a settlement for a claim. We'll be back after this. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.